Do 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 do. Do 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 do. That's the only thing I ever picked up from this movie before seeing it. Thank you, Universal Studios Hollywood. The Sting is set in 1936 at the height of the Great Depression and follows Johnny Hooker, played by Brad Pitt. Young Robert Redford. Yeah, admittedly, Brad Pitt does look like a young Robert Redford, or vice versa. But anyway, Robert Redford plays Johnny Hooker, who is a young and stupid con man who can't help but just lose all his money once he cons someone out of it. He's told by a friend of his to find a former con artist named Henry Gondorff, played by Paul Newman, to teach him the ways how to properly con people, how to be a con artist without losing all your money, and how to con mob bosses, including their main target, Doyle Lunnigan, played by Robert Shaw. This is one of those movies that I've heard of for a while, mainly because it won Best Picture in 1973. And I should probably explain the intro that I just gave. At the Universal Studios Hollywood theme park, which I go to fairly often, the Universal Starway, which is basically the escalators from the upper lot to the lower lot, will play trivia tips on movies, and as well as famous music from movies. And one of the bits of trivia they would play constantly over and over was the fact that The Sting starred Paul Newman, Robert Redford, and Robert Shaw, won Best Picture, and was famous for its ragtime music, particularly The Entertainer. And then they would play that version of The Entertainer over and over until where like The Sting was just embedded in my mind as that movie that I don't know, I feel like I saw but never saw until I got the Universal 100th Anniversary box set. So now I've seen it, and it's good. Yeah, I felt good that I saw it, but yeah, it's good. It's a heist movie, and I feel that it's one of the predecessors to something like Ocean's 11. It has a great leading cast with Robert Redford and Paul Newman. The two of them have great chemistry together, and it's really cool to see how their plan unveils. Even if it is a little confusing to watch during the first viewing, once you get to the end and realize all the steps they took to get where they had to go, then it makes sense. Cliched to say that, but it's true, honestly. Robert Shaw is also really good in this movie as the mob boss they're trying to con, whose last name I feel like I butchered when giving the plot summary. But he's really intimidating, and you know, like, if the slightest thing should go wrong, like, it's not going to end well for the main characters. Admittedly, I have a confession to make. Every time I see Robert Shaw, I can't help but get the image of Quint from Jaws out of my head. I mean, that's where I first saw Robert Shaw from. That's Robert Shaw's most memorable role, so it's kind of hard to see Robert Shaw without thinking Quint. Now, this movie isn't without its minor issues that are more personal problems and nothing to do with the movie. Nothing that's really wrong with the movie itself. As I mentioned before, for first-time viewing, it is a little confusing to follow. I ended up getting lost in their grand scheme. But again, it all makes sense in the end when you look at all the steps they took, and again, when you watch it a second time. Also, since this movie has been built up by a lot of people and certain starways, I had this image in my head that because it won Best Picture, it was one of like the great Oscar movies. And I watched it and I was like, well, it was good. It was really good, but I don't think it's really Oscar material. Which, again, it's more of a personal problem for me that my expectations were so high that it didn't pass them. But it's still really good, and it is worth seeing in your lifetime, especially if you are a film major and if you are one of those people who is just on a relentless hunt to watch every Oscar movie that won Best Picture. And that's my review for The Sting. Leave a comment, tell me what you thought of the movie, subscribe to my channel for more stuff in the future. Check out my other channel, AlexG8462. You can find links to my Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and Tumblr accounts on my YouTube page. Go check me out on letterboxd.com, letterboxd.com, where you can find records of all the movies I've seen, including a diary of every movie I see every day. And if you like the videos that I'm doing and want to help out more, go subscribe to me via Patreon. I have a video on my channel as a Patreon description. You should go look at that, check out my profile, and if you really want to help me out. It would be really great. Share me with your friends and tell them about me, and remember to know it before you see it. This has been The Cinemas with Mr. Robinson, and I'll see you guys later.